Something like a movie, right? Yeah, I know everybody don't want to talk about it, but look, we're gonna talk about it. One thing we gonna do, we gonna talk about it. Anytime. Let's get into it. We already here.
Yo, welcome back to another edition of the Life Be Life podcast. Back up on the scene, now I mean. I'm your host, Tony D.
And I'm your host, D to the J, still in the building like I ain't never left. Boy, and it feels so good. Bro, what's the business, man?
Hey, man, it's another one to do it Wednesday. Go keep this straight and to the point, because I know we're under time constraints now. We're getting complaints, you know.
Management. Management.
I was playing this game earlier, man, and yes, still a gamer a little bit, you know what I'm saying? That's the episode for another time. So I started working on this puzzle on this game last night.
Mm-hmm.
I got so frustrated, man. It was like 30 minutes, and I was like, you know what, forget it. I'll mess with it tomorrow. Today I come in, fresh set of eyes, and I'm looking at the spot because you got to move these statues a certain way. Well, I walked back to where the screen zoomed out, and there was pictures above each statue on how the statue was supposed to be placed. Why you telling us this, Tony D? Reason why I'm telling you this, man, because a lot of times when the fire is hot and we in the midst of the fight, we get a whole different perception if we can just kind of take a step back. You know what I'm saying? Whether it be your peace, whether it be your freedom, whether it's an action, whether it's words, hey, take a step back.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're not so close, you can see a different solution. So, man, how about you, bro?
Yeah, true that, man. It's just been a week, man. I've been fortunate enough to meet some people and different challenges that they had going on, man, and it just really let me know that there's still more work to be done. And sometimes it's frustrating, and I know I can't be the only one because you got a millionaire's heart, you know, but you have a common working man's, you know, resources financially right now. So, and knowing that, you know what I'm saying, things can change, knowing and believing that they will, but to see so many people in need, man, and I mean genuine need, you know what I'm saying, like deserving folks that you just know, man, you have endured, you deserve XYZ. So really just taking in a lot of things, man, and just being thankful and trying to think outside of the box on how we gonna figure some stuff out, knowing that as we continue to do that little bit for the community, it's coming back 100-fold, man. I'm believing that. So outside of that, man, it ain't nothing but a G thing, man. We happy for another Won't He Do It Wednesday. Before I kick this back, let you transition it for all those lifers out there, y'all. We thank y'all for rocking with us. Tonight's episode, what if I think my child has special needs? So we're going to address a lot of different things. How do we recognize it? What are some of the signs? What do we do? Resources? Just so many different things that we need to consider. So I'm pulling up the bootstraps, man. I'm ready.
Let's get it.
The views and opinions expressed on the Life Be Life podcast are solely those of the artists, producers, guests, and hosts of the show. Any numbers, stats, or stated resources that are given, we do ask that you verify that information for yourself.
All righty. Hey, you heard the disclosure, man. So as we get ready to jump in, bro, go ahead. Hey, kick off. Let's go.
Let's do it. So look, what if I think my child has special needs? This is where I want to start. Approximately 15% of students worldwide have a learning disability. Learning disabilities affect about 1.7% of children globally. So I want y'all to really think about that. How many, if you hit Google or Siri or whatever you use and ask about the population of the children, and 1.7% are dealing with some type of learning disability. In the United States alone, 20% of the children grapple with learning and thinking differences, including attention disorders. The U.S. has about 4 million young people under 18 living with disabilities, and dyslexia is in the top percent. So there's a lot of people, and this is significant because as school has just started, as we had a guest last week that talked about, they talked about the early enrollment and some of the changes, some of the things that I'm telling you that I've discovered through people this week. This is very significant. Dyslexia affecting 10% of the global population, and it is the most prevalent for the learning disabilities. This is where I really wanted to hang my hat, bro. 40% of the learning disabilities worldwide will go undetected. Okay. So that means that we have a whole lot of parents that have children that are struggling internally, and they're being perceived as either slow, and we just gonna say it, people are thinking they're stupid. People are thinking they can't learn, and all they are learning is differently because they're struggling with an undetected, uncharted learning disability. That does not mean that they cannot be equivalent to those that do not. It just means that there's a difference. And the reason why I say that is because you still have learning disability children graduating at an incredible rate. The high school graduation rate, bro, for students with learning disabilities is 68%. For those that don't have them, it's 81. So there's not even a big discrepancy. Now consider the fact that there is so many that are undetected, right? So, bro, thoughts just circling around that, man. What's your thoughts when it comes down to so many children that are being impacted, and even more so, ones that are just going by the wayside? We thinking they just can't read, can't count, this, that, the third. What you thinking?
Yeah, indeed. So first of all, let me clear something up for everybody because you know what I'm saying. You went off camera while you was reading from your paper because you know you probably didn't want to have it up. I didn't want nobody to think that you can't read and you was you know what I'm saying that you was tracing what you was saying with your fingers. So I just had to make that clear real quick. All right. So Rose,
Are you?
it's very important, man, that hey, not only do we owe it to ourselves, we owe it to our kids.
Facts.
Because not realizing and recognizing the signs and symptoms, people can be in denial. Um, and one big thing before I really go jump down the rabbit hole, funding.
Mm-hmm.
I want to talk about that first and foremost, funding. So if anyone has any type of business knowledge, business sense, maybe you've run a small business, you understand that you operate with a budget. Okay.
True.
So that's what the United States does. They operate with a budget. So let's just say that in North County, St. Louis, out of all the funds that are designated to Missouri, North County gets 2 million.
Mm-hmm.
Well, because enough people are not speaking up saying, hey, I need help. My child needs help. We need these extra resources. When that budget is allocated the next year, North County won't get 2 million. They're going to get maybe 1.5. And it steady decreases if it's not being used because it's showing
Very
now
true.
we continue to over budget. Now we need to
Yeah.
shift those funds elsewhere.
Yeah.
So
As
now
if it's
when we
not
finally
needed.
get on, yeah. So now that when we finally get on the boat and we get on the train, like, oh shoot, yeah, my child in first grade, and now we just not ready to start this, but we're out of funding. You got to come
Mm-hmm.
out of pocket. So I wanted to start there just because in these economic times that we're dealing in, and dealing with, every dollar counts, man. So if you're one of these parents that need these resources, wanted to start there. Secondly, man, when I was working at the pasta house, I had the opportunity to wait on a special needs school. Okay, a lot of servers didn't want to wait on them because you know, um, it can be kind of messy at times. But you know what I'm saying? What else would you expect? I specifically remember, man, these kids, and regardless of their condition, some were verbal, some were nonverbal. You could tell in their eyes kind of what they were thinking or their excitement.
Mm-hmm.
And over the years, I took care of them so many times that I was kind of like a staple to them, to where this young man, nonverbal,
Mm-hmm.
his mom came up there to pick him up because it was his last day. So they came up, there's about 20 of them. He stood up in his chair and he jumped in my arms. And I had to catch him. I'm sitting here holding this child, and the mama was like, "Oh my God, he's never done this before." What I've noticed is that with parents that have special needs kids, trust me, you were chosen. It's not so much for what I did, what I didn't do, what I could have done different. You were chosen to take
Mm-hmm.
care of this life. You know what I'm saying? Because that's the greatest gift that you can give someone, is to take care of them and fend for them, and they can't do it for themselves and they can't give it back. So,
Yeah. Yeah. And it's it's so much, man, that you said in that, and resources is the biggest thing. It takes a certain measure, and I understand because I've seen parents firsthand, man, to where it's almost like there is a blame that they're placing on themselves. And I seen some that I had to see them step out of their own way to accept the resources. And again, 40% of students are going undiagnosed. The bigger part of these things is, at what age do we diagnose them? And as you go from community to community, this age discrepancy becomes more apparent. And so some of the reasons why are going to be insurance based, this, that, and the third. And we'll get into those things later. But for parents, you know what I'm saying? Hopefully you active at some point, you helping your children with their homework. You're observing them in their daily, how they play, how they interact, their social skills. And these are some of the things that we really need to look out for. So I mentioned, bro, dyslexia being the number one charted that's impacting from a learning disability standpoint. It is the most prevalent learning disability worldwide. You now have ADHD. And while it's not classified as a learning disability per se, ADHD frequently co-occurs with learning disabilities. So where you would see one disability, is very likely that this partners with it. Dyscalculia, it affects the mathematical abilities. It impacts between 2 and 8% of the global population. So again, these things are important that I'm breaking down, because you might know what dyslexia is when people are flipping S's and fives and P's and Q's. But are you familiar with what this is, where their reading is fine, their writing is fine, but they can't seem to get this math down? And you getting so frustrated at them, you know what I mean? 13, 14, 15, 18. No, why you keep skipping it? And you count again, and they keep skipping the same thing, and you ready to, you know what I'm saying, Charles Oakley, somebody. You know what I'm saying? You ready to take it to that level. And the reality is, it's something that you should be mindful of and possibly be talking to your doctor. Dysgraphia,
indeed.
it's affecting writing abilities, and it's estimated same way to impact between 5 and 20% of school-age children. APD, this is auditory processing disorder, and these are things to where the children, it impacts the language comprehension, learning. Everything sometimes ties hand in hand. So when you start to see kids that are struggling with reading, it could be a situation because we're not working with them at home. It could be a situation that we didn't expose them early enough. But then again, maybe it's not. Do you feel like exposure to reading math skills early is beneficial, or do you feel, no, that's something, hey, when we hit kindergarten, man, you know, we're gonna let Miss Soda Pop handle that? Like, what's your thoughts?
No, I believe that as a parent, that you got to also reinforce those fundamentals.
True.
For instance, if the only time I shot a basketball is game time, something's wrong with that. You know what I'm saying? I should be putting in some type of work off the court, off the field.
Oh, we
So
practice?
it's the only time,
We talking about
yeah,
practice?
yeah, practice. So the other thing that we have to allude it to before we snatch out on this break is if you are not having your child sit down at home for any amount of time,
Mm-hmm.
setting them down, teaching them the extra things, keeping them still, keeping them quiet, teaching them the extra things. How are you? How do you think that they're supposed to go to school and sit for 5, 6, 7, 8 hours
True.
and they don't get that discipline at home? So we're not going down that path, but we're simply saying is as we are teaching our young kids from a small age,
Mm-hmm.
simple stuff, as bro would say, bite-sized pieces, we should then be able to recognize and understand, like, okay, you know what I'm saying? They're not
Mm-hmm.
as skilled in this, they're not as skilled as that. Maybe
Yep.
there's an identifying issue, whatever the case may be. So we can start getting that worked on. So
True that.
we'll slide to this break real quick, bro. And then we're
Yep.
gonna slide right on back up in here, all right?
You know it.
Yeah, didn't hit the button. Anywho, we back up on the scene, man. Shout out to brother Moshe, man. Look, this is what we're doing. As we transition to the new season, man, if you want to sponsor a segment, you got to get at us. You know what I'm saying? So understand that yesterday's price is not today's price.
Hey, but that's fair biz. And while we there, I also like to recognize, man, just a lot of the things that we're doing, and hopefully lifers can appreciate that, from the Life Be Life and records, the Life Be Life and studio. There's so many layers that we're trying to do, because it's about giving information, making people feel good, so on and so forth. So bro, you were before we went to that break, man, you were dropping some gems, man. If you want to pick that back up.
Well, of course I will. So I have a wife that works in early childhood education. So a lot of the stuff that I kind of regurgitate, I've learned over the 20 years that we've been together, just hearing her uh,
Yeah.
talk about, not necessarily talk about, but she may um, recall a situation, because I don't want people to think my wife be putting everybody's business out there in the street. A
Mm-mm.
great,
She's accredited and soon to be director.
yeah,
She don't rock
indeed.
like that, but go ahead.
So there's this one young lady in mind that there's that was a student of my wife.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the young lady was nonverbal. She didn't talk at all, but she had an interest in my wife. By the time the parents unenrolled them and moved them out, because I believe they moved or something, this young lady was talking. She visits, they talk, and I really feel like that's remarkable, because as young as she was, I feel like that her mom seen that there was something going on, got
Mm-hmm.
it diagnosed. And again, I don't know the whole situation, but early detection, man. We we know, we know.
Yeah.
But the thing is, when we admit it, and what we have to realize is that when we don't admit it, that my child may need a little extra help or a little extra attention, we are pushing them further and further back.
Yeah.
Because if my child is hitting grade school and they can't do colors, they can't sing the alphabet, they can at least count to 10, there may be some underlying issues. But as us as a parent, many times we try to push those issues off on the school
Right.
and on the teachers instead of taking those responsibilities ourselves and getting our child properly diagnosed.
True story. Let me go on and catch that up off the glass before you put that back too. So look, according to one of the largest U.S. studies on topic, Black children on average, they do not get diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder. It is called ASD until 3 years after their parents have initially voiced their concerns to the pediatrician. So, like you just said, and even before break, there's things that we should be doing as parents in the home. And the more time that we spend with our children trying to teach them the basic things, we're able to then see some areas that we might want to focus on. But ideally, the time that we spend as parents will help to maneuver and navigate them through life and this early detection. So boom. So in both situations, we've waited, right? We've waited until their school grade age level. Now we want Miss Soda Pop to put all the efforts into her and correct whatever we feel like is wrong, but we have never communicated, right?
Yeah.
By the time that parent finally speaks up, it is not until 3 years after, right? And that's why now they start to fall behind, because they're 8, 9 years old, 10 years old, in some situations, junior high level, and we're just now recognizing, oh, they're just passing them along to the grade. I wonder why. Ain't that what you did to us? Anywho, given the longstanding history of bias and racism within the healthcare, Black parents may be reluctant to bring up their concerns to their child's doctor. And we're gonna talk about the why. And I understand, but we finna get over this. In fact, many parents have reported their pediatrician to be dismissive or quick to blame disruptive behaviors on poor parenting or harmful stereotypes. Additionally, they may not recognize ASD symptoms due to a lack of experience. Some doctors only receive a small amount of training on autism during their medical education. So now as time continues to roll out and we understand that autism does not look the same, right? There is a spectrum. And where the child falls on the spectrum could indeed decide which type of counseling and correction that they need, right? Some doctors, they say, may opt for a wait and see approach. And I've actually seen this. I've had hey, you sure? Yeah, we're gonna wait and see. And it was nothing learning wise. It could be a physical thing. Oh yeah, they'll grow out of that. They always want to do a wait and see to avoid this. Parents need to determine whether their child's doctor is knowledgeable about whatever area that they have a concern in. If you believe that your child is on that spectrum, then you need to make sure that your doctor is qualified in the areas of ASD. But many parents, Black parents in particular, they described not being able to do so, as they had never themselves heard about ASD and they did not recognize the signs. And stigma has been cited as one of the main reasons that Black people fail to acquire mental health as well as physical health. I'm passing. So I know I see this. And Ms. Dyson, thank you for chiming in. There are developmental milestone tests that can assist with communication with the doctor. And again, I want lifers to understand this, bro. I'm gonna say this, and I'm gonna let you take the mic. This is why we having these topics and conversations. Understand that we all may know somebody. We may have children. We got friends, families, coworkers, whatever. But a lot of these conversations aren't really happening on the right level. And like you said, we don't even recognize. If I said ASD, most people would think I'm talking about a school or a university. And I'm not trying to be funny. That's the reality. We don't know. And if we don't know, what do we know to look out for? We've hit to dyslexia. So, bro, with all that being the case, man, everything I just said, like, whew.
So, man, it kind of puzzles me, because most children, to a degree, are aware of their capabilities and what they don't do well. Okay.
Mhm.
For instance, you may see a child singing a song all the time because maybe maybe they may have a stutter. They may not be able to communicate, you know what I'm saying, efficiently. So this is their way of communicating. Um, I actually worked with a young lady who was having issues with her child's daycare. And she's like, I think he was almost 2 and he's nonverbal. And they were
Okay.
like, okay, well, he's nonverbal, so you need to get that looked into. So I did end up reaching out to my wife, who actually found some good resources, and just checking in with her here and there. And she's like, man, he's progressing. They got him on the list that he needs to be. Baby, if you know that list, please comment it so I can put that in the chat as well. And anything else that you can think of. So, but most children know what they can do and what they can't do. In school, a child who can't speak well, when they're called on, or they won't raise their hand because I can't speak well. I don't know if I have the right answer. I'm not confident. And so, yes, that's where some behavioral things can come about. But we as parents, when the small things began, uh, recognition of letters, shapes, numbers, colors, uh, memory. You know what I'm saying? Because we try to give our children a routine, bedtime, get up in the morning, get dressed for school, go, you come home. So most kids have a rhythm of their life. There'll be some kids who can be unaware, like, oh, what I do now? No, now it's time for you to go to school. And you may have the nonverbal ones as well. So again, parents, we owe it to our kids, man, to make sure that they're getting the correct help that they need. We
Mhm.
owe it to our kids to give them the best quality of life that we can. What do you mean by that? And I know we'll talk about it a little more in the next half hour. So the quality of life for a child, sometimes as an adult, because we've been a child, we no longer think on a child's level. We no longer think, we may think childish actions, but we don't think child actions. So
Right.
as we are dealing with kids that, or our kids that may be dealing with these types of things, again, like you said, bro, oh, we'll grow out of it. We'll want to do this. We'll want to do that. The wait and see approach. But again, as a
Yep.
parent, like, oh man, yeah, he should be getting this by now. I don't know what's going on. And when that question, you say to yourself, I don't know what's going on, now it's time to start seeking. Don't be ashamed,
That's right.
because now this help that you're giving this child, you're ready to give them a quality of life, meaning, and we will broaden that horizon after break, meaning that what your child can do, teach them how to do those things well. Because the way life happens, and it happens fast, we cannot predict the date or the time.
Yep.
And now, if you're underservicing your child, always coddling, if your child has perfectly good use of their hands, their arms, their eyes, even their mouth, there's some things they can do by themselves. They can go to the bathroom by themselves. They can take showers or baths by themselves. And as they grow older, you teach them how to use simple things, air fryers, microwaves, things of that notion by themselves.
True.
Because here we go, parents. Because we got to realize that if one day, and I'm not even saying transition wise, what if your health
Mhm.
fails?
Mhm.
And we understand that because this is your child and you want to do everything in your power to ensure this child has a great quality of life. But sometimes we
Mhm.
hinder our kids and not allow them to explore
Yep.
and allow them to do the things that kids do. Before we go, bro, what you think?
Uh, Unfortunately, a lot of parents in these situations are the reason why the kids will cap out in the middle, really of their potential, and it's the equivalent of turning the volume all the way up, but the capacity of the speaker you put in there was so small that even on max, it can only do so much. And a lot of these things are simply because of us parents. For parents that have children that are on the spectrum or have any type of the learning disabilities we discussed, but then they also have children that are none of those things. Yes, you have to put a little bit more care and caution and concern into the child that has those needs. But why would you deviate from all the things that you implemented in the kids that don't? So like you stated, I'm going to teach my child how to do simple stuff, cook, clean, do those things. But why would I wait for 13 for the learning disability child, and knowing that the child that didn't at 7 years old, I'm leaving them at the house by themselves for 5, 6, 7 hours while I'm at work? It's still a child.
Right.
So whatever preparation that you feel like you put into the non-learning disability kid to get them ready, why don't you do the same thing? You understand? So a lot of the things, and we'll pick this up, bro, when we come back on the other side of this break. But a lot of these things, bro, are things that as parents, we can turn the volume up on their life and give them a better range of life. It's 8:30, bro. You know what it is. Part one coming to a close. What if I think my child has special needs? When we come back from this break, we jumping right back into things. Sound good with you, bro?
Indeed.
Roll it out.
Turn on them faucets, baby boy. You looking at the water. Yeah. Coming straight from the tap. Looking for a Skittle vibe. Skittle vibe. I'm looking for a Skittle vibe. A Skittle vibe. Looking for a Skittle vibe. Skittle vibe. I'm looking for a Skittle vibe. Skittle vibe. If she got food stamps, I'll F with her. You gotta think ramen noodles is a fire dinner. I want a woman who drank with all her kids 7 days a week, 7 different weeks. Yeah, I'm looking for a kitty vibe, a skitty vibe. And I'm gonna find my skitty vibe, skitty vibe. I can't wait to get my oh my, it's my, that's kiddo, cause she my, skittle. 1 week, 2 kid, 3 kid, 4 kid, 5 kid, 6, 7 wigs, baby hair no edges. If she bald head, she can still take me to the 7-Eleven. Skittle vibe, skittle vibe, skittle vibe, skittle vibe. Yeah, I'm looking for my skittle.
Yo. Shout out to Tap,
Hey.
the realest fake rapper to ever do it. Life Be Life and Records' first premier artist.
All right.
It's
Before
definitely
we
the
jump
Tap.
in,
Yes, sir.
I have a text from the missus, and it reads as such. If anyone is ashamed to talk and ask for help or not sure on the proper steps, please have them reach out to me and I'll be happy to help. So
True that. Before you
my
start,
wife,
bro,
again,
since we're picking up part 2, before you go deep, throw that disclosure one more again, man, since we popping this off at the second half. Spin that real quick before you say what you say.
The views and opinions expressed on the Life Be Life in podcast are solely those of the artists, producers, guests, and hosts of the show. Any numbers, stats, or stated resources that are given, we do ask that you verify that information for yourself.
all righty.
My boy. Appreciate you.
With my wife being in early childhood education, she's not in it for the dollar. My wife sincerely, truly loves, cares, cherishes kids.
People. Yep.
This is
people.
where her heart is.
Mhm.
So by her sending me that today, just letting all the lifers know, like, hey, you ain't
Yeah.
got to be ashamed, man. You got somebody that knows the game, they know the ropes, they know what to look for. Please reach out. If you need to reach out to the podcast page, look, everything that if it comes to this, it's strictly confidential. You won't hear us on the next show saying, yeah, three people, my wife helped XYZ. No, it is going to be strictly confidential.
True.
So, a couple of comments rolled in while we were on break. Again, this is the wife. There are several checklists that can be used depending on the type of daycare/school the child attends, but it also depends if the parent takes the proper steps.
Absolutely.
And then this was a previous comment from us. It was just stating, and then wonder why they don't want to read out loud and go to the chalkboard. Because we all know we've been there. Unsure about something, self-esteem can be low. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and my handwriting ain't the best. So why am I going to the chalkboard to write something on here?
Mm-hmm.
As we transition, y'all, as these young people get older, again, a lot of many things our kids do not grow out of. So now, as we're giving them and getting them the help that they need and deserve, as we're taking part of the resources that allow you to still be a parent, you to still work if need be, how does this work for the rest of your life? And I know it's not a happy subject that we want to talk about, but I again recap on what I said right before the break. What your child can do well, even though you know that they may be struggling in other areas, hey, let them grow in what they do well. Even Albert Einstein had an issue. Go look it up if you don't believe me. So the
Mm-hmm.
thing is that a lot of children that may be on the spectrum for one thing, they are very gifted in something else.
Absolutely.
And as a parent, as we coddle them, as we try to teach them and keep them quote unquote safe from the world, we also need to give them that room and that space to be able to grow as a person. See, sometimes we feel like that when we are walking a child with special needs through life, that they are an extension of us. No, they're their own person. The resources, the help, all of that is supposed to grow as that child gets older, becomes an adult, becomes a young adult, becomes an adolescent, a full grown adult. Because we already stated our mind doesn't develop until what, 25, bro?
Facts.
So
Yep.
again, this year is going to grow on 25, 30, 35, 40. So how will you become equipped? How will you arm yourself and be informational on what that child needs next? Well, I want to
True.
ask you that, man. Stat man, because you know you always got the stats going on. How many parents actively prepare their child for adulthood using the resources? You got a stat for that yet?
Not that I don't have, but based on what I do have, I can tell you that roughly it will be a 60% range because there's 40% that's going undiagnosed just in one category. Um, what I will piggyback on just to kind of say this,
Man,
there's really two areas. There's two areas and two methods that we as adults have always acknowledged that we learn. And so, for those that use WebEx or Zoom or whatever, and you're at your job, your desk, and you're trying to learn something, or you doing something as simple as trying to assemble a nightstand, and you have to read the instructions, bro. There comes a point to where that person is going to do one or two things. They either read that because they learn from comprehension, and then you also have some people that learn from hands-on. So when you talk about being a parent and then we're going to protect them from the world, are we protecting them from the world, bro? Or are we protecting them from learning? Because how do we learn? We learn hands-on. So if I never
indeed.
allow my child to partake in the things, now I'm not saying that I don't give them advice and I'm watching them run down the middle of the street. Of course not. But I'm pretty certain I should teach that child the same thing that I taught my other children. Stay out the street. Up until a certain age, my kids can only play in the backyard. Backyard is fenced in. It's usually only one way in the backyard, one way out. You can kind of control it a little better. They get to that preteen stage. Yeah, they can start you know what I'm saying? So you progress them. But if you never let them experience, hey, I'm going to tell you what, it don't feel good to get hit by a football. But I think it makes more sense. It would definitely make more sense to teach my daughter or son how to catch, or just let them have fun enough to experience, do you even like this? So when we talk about protecting our children as parents, the next thing that should come to our mind is, what am I protecting them from? Am I protecting them from the things, because when we spoke about this many episodes ago, bro, and I had to take accountability for myself. We parent out of fear. Most of the things that we fear, most of the things that we're afraid of, 99% of it never comes to fruition. That is pure facts. It never comes to pass. We will spend more time of our life worried about something that will never happen than the fraction of the moment that we have to deal with it when it does. Mm-hmm. So for the older mom, the older dad, even the younger mom or a younger dad that has a child with learning disabilities, autism, they're on the spectrum, they have the ASD, whatever we want to, dyslexia, it doesn't matter what we're referring to. We have to continue to teach them, because we understand what I put into my child is going to determine how far they can go in life. And if I'm steady making excuses instead of dealing with it, that child cannot go where they need to go in life. And when the day comes that this parent or parents or a caregiver or a system is no longer around to care for that child, they will become, unfortunately, like some of the children who have nowhere to go. Bro, real quick before I kick this thing back, have you ever wondered how certain communities, when you walk into, let's say, a Walmart, and there's greeters. They have greeters. And sometimes the greeters may have a visible learning disability. Sometimes it's Down syndrome. But even to say with that doesn't always look the same. Bro, there is cable shows right now where you have Down syndrome adults, young adults that are in relationships, married and having babies. And then And then because of the profession that we've worked in, we've also seen adult parents come through there with their adult children. And this adult child is still living with them. They haven't even gotten the tools and resources to be able to branch out on their own. So what is going to happen when 65-year-old, you know what I'm saying, Miss I Kate transitions from this life? Now who's racing? Because they've aged out the system, bro.
Yeah.
35-year-old man that never was diagnosed because we were too embarrassed or ashamed. We didn't want to admit it. Pimping, there's people right now that I know very well that have children that we all know we need to give different resources, grace, love, whatever to. We need to extend it to them. But the conversation has never been had. What exactly is taking place so that when your child is in my care, when your child is around those children, I'm aware of what to look for. I'm aware of the signs that this could be a dangerous situation. We don't talk about this because we're embarrassed, we're ashamed. And I want you, bro, these last 2 minutes before we go to that final break, parental guilt. Sometimes we tripping off of it, something that the parent did. Parental guilt, bro. Drop gems on that real quick.
So, where did I hear this? I just heard this somewhere earlier, and I don't remember where it might have been you earlier, but I'm hearing, what happened to my child? What's wrong with my child? Should I not have done this? Should I have started taking prenatal earlier?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I shouldn't have had that drink. Oh, I knew I should have stopped smoking. I knew I should have been in this atmosphere or doing this and doing that.
Mm-hmm.
So here's the thing, man, that that I kind of hit it on earlier. Um, life, just the act of life being born, it is so complicated. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
It is so complicated that to imagine that all these millions and billions of neurons have to line up just right every time. And then here you go, someone says, oh, but you said God is perfect. So we're not going to even get
Mm-hmm.
into that because at the end of the day, life is life. It's how
Mm-hmm.
we it's how we ingest it, it's how we take it in and what we put back out.
Yep.
I'm gonna continue that after this break, man, just to make sure again we stay where we need to be. So buckle up for this final finale, y'all. We'll be back right back shortly.
Yo, what up, lifers? It's your boy Tony D. You know, from the Life Be Life podcast. Get ready to prep for the show. 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. The party begins. Do you have clean and original music? There go the email. Shoot it in to us. Do you have a story that you want to tell or you want to hear us dissect? Go ahead, send that joker in. Birthday shout-outs, anniversary shout-outs. How many times I got to tell you? Send it in. We invite you to come get your finger sticky tonight with the best duo since Wings and Ranch. All you gotta do is pull up. We go bring the napkins and the conversation. By the way, no toilets are being used or harmed in the recording of this video. Catch us 8 p.m. Central Standard Time.
All right, man. So as we
Yeah.
ready to wrap this thing up, man, we want to finish that final thought before we head to our soapbox real quick. So
Yeah. Yeah.
again,
Yeah.
being able to properly prepare them, man, and letting that child live their life to its fullest. Because like you said, man, we've seen at the bank where somebody's rep payee. And actually, I'm gonna tie this into my soapbox. How about that? So we've seen in the bank where a mother comes in, where son, daughter, whomever, they have cognitive sense. They
Mm-hmm.
just may not be proficient in all areas of life.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen them tell them, oh, they check came in. So as the rep payee, I'm finna come and get all the money out the account. Oh, now don't help her with nothing. They don't know what they're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
It's very important that we arm them with the knowledge that we can, because we do them a disservice if we don't. Imagine if you failed a class and your parents just thought you was dumb and
Right.
decided that they, from that moment, at that point in time, that they no longer wanted to deal with you. They were no longer going to put resources in you. They were no longer going to have any expectations of you. A lot of us have been in relationships like that, and what happened? You
Mm-hmm.
start to feel it. Just because people may not say or voice their opinion, people know right from wrong. And that's one thing about the cognitive special needs people that I've met. They know right from wrong. Nah, this ain't right. Now that's bad. Now we not gonna do that. You know what I'm saying? That's a
Yep.
no-no.
Yep.
If we're not teaching them those barriers in life to allow them to function at their own capacity. See, again, a lot of times we try to make them fit our lifestyle. But like you said, bro, there are whole communities. There's adult daycares, and not just for people who have immobility issues. There's adult daycares to where they have their own friends, they have their own
Mm-hmm.
parties, they have their own conversations. They text, they call, they Facebook, they do everything that normal people do, just on a different level.
That's right.
And shoot, bro, in the times that we're living in now, what is normal? You know what I'm saying? What is actually
Yeah.
normal?
Um.
See, we
I
try to
agree.
put the people that we can see their physical uh disadvantages in a box.
Yeah.
and not understanding that we can always reach them here. Go ahead, bro.
Yeah. Yeah. So just as I want to kind of go back and recap just some things real quick as we kind of wind it down part 2. So for all the lifers that just joined in, as we're talking about, what if I think my child has special needs? Again, I want to emphasize that 40% of learning disabilities worldwide are going undetected, with dyslexia leading as the prevalent learning disability, impacting at least 10%. So our kids are in these schools with different challenges. They're in our homes, they're in our churches, and we are just looking at it from a standpoint of they disruptive, they can't never sit down, they bad, they need to do this and this and this. And that could be a fraction of it. But again, like I stated earlier, while ADHD is not on the spectrum as a learning disability, because of its impact, it is frequently assembled and associated with other learning disabilities, bro. So when you see one disability, usually ADHD is in the room. So nobody's recognizing that as its own culprit, but it is piggybacking as another effect or another circumstance that goes along with it. We know about dyslexia, but there's other challenges that our children may be having, family members, whatever, and we're just looking at it like they don't want to learn. They're lazy, they're this, they're that. It's more than the inability to get your letters and numbers facing the right direction. Mathematical learning difficulties, that is its own category. Writing disorders, dysgraphia, that's its own category. But be clear that no matter what your child is struggling with, you can get them prepared, because 68% of children with learning disabilities are still graduating high school. And while 68%, you're like, dang, that don't sound like a good number. Okay, I get you. But for those that don't have a learning disability, bro, it's only 81%. It's not that big of a difference, especially when we consider that most of the children that did not graduate with learning disabilities had a late start before we even recognized it. So as I put a button and a bow and make everything real nice and neat, it boils down to really just like this, man. We got to be honest with ourselves. Their success is a direct result of it. Recognize, do they need provisions? Do they truly need a little bit more provision? Meaning, if I'm working with them at the crib on how to read, and I know that the fluidity is not there, right? The cadence in their reading is not there. Now, when they get in school, I have that conversation with the teacher, and they get to come out of class and get special reading. Or maybe they need a little bit extra time for testing. But when the parent is not really aware, when the parent does not want to take charge of that, then you have a child that gets into their teen years, 20s, so on and so forth, and they're still not where other people around them, their peers, are. And now you'll have another generation coming up that too will surpass them. If we want our children to be treated normal, then we have to allow them to do normal things. I cannot consistently pull my niece, my nephew, my daughter, my friend, whoever it is, from a situation and say, they on the spectrum. Hold on, dyslexia. But then when teachers, other parents, and so on and so forth try to tell me as a parent or a caregiver what I need to do to assist in that, now I want to be mad at them because how dare you treat my child differently? They are different. You acknowledge that. So do you want them different or do you want them included? We have to be realistic because, again, parents, caregivers, government is the cap to these children. My final thing, sir, the embarrassment or the shame. The parental guilt that we kind of talked about off air. Sometimes you feel it's things that you might have done. Maybe you were still running the streets wild, and man, see, I knew karma was gonna get me. or man, I something told me to stop doing whatever it is, man, woman, age, weight, habits, social skills, whatever it is that you're doing that you might feel that contribute to that, you got to throw that in the trash, because the reality is your child is dealing with it and how we react to it. So action, well training, how you deal with your child. I'm D to the J, bro. You know what it is. Do what you do. Take us to the bridge.
Indeed, man. So, my wife actually made another comment talking about Pika, and I think she's explaining it. So we're gonna hold out for her real quick.
Yeah,
While we
only
got a few
Pika I
minutes, bro.
know is my man with that yellow tail. You know what I'm saying? That was steady scrapping with Team Rocket, blasting off at the speed of light. Speed of light. Give up now or prepare to fight. Jesse, James. Come on, brother.
Okay.
Yeah, Team Rocket
Okay. So she
blasting off.
said
Pika.
Pika is eating things that are non-edible
Edible.
that
I didn't know
that
that was called.
cause distractions.
Yes, such as
Mm,
erasers, such as clothing, such as hair. I have forgot about that. I told y'all that girl's smart. Hey, y'all out there, all jokes aside, man. All jokes aside,
well,
if your children, you love them, you have a learning education center, man, y'all better be reaching out, because we got some resources that you just might not be familiar with, bro.
indeed. Before we get out of here, man, I want to give a special shout out to somebody. They're actually going to come up as a guest, I believe, on the next show. Um, Sitting here on Friday, sitting at the crib, the tow inspector, he driving around, and on my camera, I seen him leaving from my door. I'm like, what's he leaving from my door from?
Yeah.
Anywho, had some algae on the side of the crib. Reached out to, well, I put it on Facebook. Mr. Arliss, got to give him a huge shout out, man. He commented, he inboxed me, came out the next day, knocked it out, man. Screw up the driveways, something in the back, in front of the house. Like, hey, he came out and did his thing. I'm saying it to say this: as minority business owners, it's very important to do good business. And as we'll have him on 2 weeks from, well, not 2 weeks from today, the 26th, he'll be on.
Mhm.
And, just want to shout him out, man, because I appreciate him. I appreciate him just for sliding out, doing uh doing it so fast, man, after I let him know what was going on. And let's see. Was there anything else, bro? We good?
Man, the only other thing I got, man, is regardless of what is taking place, regardless of whose fault, because I understand we could say whatever. You're gonna have one parent that's gonna blame another parent. But the reality is, like you stated, this is a gift from God. All children are a gift. Be careful how you handle that gift. Be careful what you
Yeah.
think you're protecting it from. Be careful what you think that you're shielding it from, because that very thing that you're trying to keep them from, you may still have the grenade in your own hands and the pen in your mouth. And that's all I got, Pimpin'.
Hey, because life is gonna keep on lifing, and we're gonna be here to talk about it. I'm your host, Tony D.
And I'm your host, D to the J, still in the building like I ain't never left. And it feels so good. Tune in. We got more gems coming. We got more coming. Y'all already know. Bro, how can they find us?
So you can find us by checking the bottom of the screen right now,
Booyah.
lifebelifepodcast.com, YouTube, Life Be Life in Podcast 314, and on Facebook, Life Be Life in Podcast. So check us out.
And you know this.